The perspectives shared by the participants in this podcast are solely their own and not intended as medical advice. For any health issues, we strongly recommend seeking guidance from a licensed professional.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Rare Realities with Marimomi Momokhosi, where we dive into the emotional journeys of individuals living with one conditions. When we tell one story at a time, imagine going to a doctor and coming back with a diagnosis that it can either be cured or now you have to live with it for the rest of your life. And today I am with the gorgeous guys, this lady, yeah. I'm with Sharney Blackway. I'm glad I got the surname right. So welcome, Sharney.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to Rare Realities with Marimomi Momokhosi. I want you to tell your story. Guys, Sharney is a not once, 2 times cancer survivor. Please introduce yourself.
Can I start off by asking permission? Can I call you Mimo, please?
Oh, please.
Because I'm like, I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to twist my tongue.
No, it's Mimo.
So everyone watching, my name is Sharney Blackway. I am a 2-time cancer survivor. And I'm 32 years of age. I still have to think about my age. Also, you'll see quite a few delays in my speech because of the brain, but we'll get to that. But yes, I'm excited to be here. I hail from the streets of Ekurhuleni, Johannesburg, Boksburg. I was born and raised in the East Rand, and I am excited to be here with Mimo today.
Oh, welcome. And to all the East ladies, what's up? So, Sharney, please take us back to the day that you were diagnosed.
Well, I always tell people, when I was diagnosed back in January of 2023, I was misdiagnosed 5 times before that.
Sure.
And I'm going to say this, I need to preface it that way because I need people to understand why I am saying that I was relieved when I was diagnosed. Because for almost a year, doctors were telling me that there's nothing wrong. It's all in my mind. I'm too young. And obviously, I did not think it was the worst case scenario, which in most cases is cancer. I just thought maybe I hurt my muscle or something, but we're not getting to the bottom of it. So going back to that day, I had surgery the day prior to that. So on the 16th, I had a tumor removed because I told my GP I cannot handle this pain anymore. Please refer me to a specialist.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the general surgeon did. And after surgery, he said, we need to obviously then take this in for testing because based on what you are telling me and what you've been telling these doctors for the past almost year, there is characteristics that does not line up to the diagnosis that you initially received, which was a fibroadenoma.
Mm-hmm.
And not thinking anything of it, honestly. Again, not 1 day prior to that, was actually 6 days prior to that. So we waited for the results to come back from the lab, and the doctor called me on the 16th of January after I had my surgery on the 10th of January in 2023. So going back to that day, I was still in a lot of pain recovering from surgery. My husband and I just, I got the call from the reception and immediately I ran to the garage. That's where my husband was. I just got out of the shower and I just said to my husband, something in this lady's voice doesn't sound right. And it's like, you are always the one that is so positive,
Yeah.
I've just been saved a year prior to that. So my faith has been one of my driving forces throughout my journey. And my husband was just not believing what I was telling him, like something is very wrong. And on the way there, it was not easy in the car ride. And when I got there, even the look on the receptionist's face, I was like, something's up. We got there and again, the entire practice was filled with patients. And after seeing that one patient, the doctor said, Sharney Blackway. And in a room full of people that was waiting before us, I was called first. And I said to my husband, this is not a good sign. We walk into the office and the doctor says to me, I'm very sorry to tell you this, but it is breast cancer. my husband and I obviously broke down. We couldn't believe it because at that point I'd been the fittest in my life. I was 28 years of age, and so we broke down.
What were the symptoms like? Were they visible, or you could just feel pain?
So it all started off with a lump on my chest. And I say my chest because it was not in my breast.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we have a breast cavity. That's what I know now. But because I have always been so small busted, like I've always been part of the itty bit. I don't know how to say it, but it's a tongue twister. But I've always had smaller breasts.
Yeah.
And that was just, I was at the gym a lot. I thought maybe I'd hurt a muscle. And then when that passed, I was like, maybe I'm getting on my period. And then that passed. And then I was like, maybe I'm pregnant,
Yeah.
And then that, obviously that lump.
The lump, yeah.
It was, I would say it was just like, I wouldn't say it's not like a pimple. It was more just like I hurt my muscle.
Okay.
And I said to myself, it's not that deep.
Small?
Like, it will get better. I would say it started off not pimple size, but maybe the tip of like my pinky finger.
Uh-huh.
So based on like a coin, I would say like a 20 cent.
Mm-hmm.
It started that way. And it wasn't painful immediately. So in the beginning, it was more like uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
And by the time I had obviously been diagnosed, it was an unbearable pain. That was one sign or the symptom that had sent me to the doctors. But there was a lot more in hindsight.
Uh-huh.
Once I got to learn more about cancer, I had experienced nightly sweats. So I will wake up in the middle of the night and I would be drenched in sweat. I was abnormally tired, so I was always fatigued.
Yeah.
To a point where, you are around people and I would fall asleep mid-conversation. And people had gotten so used to that because I work a 9 to 5. I'm a business owner. I am a new mom. At that time, my baby was 3 years old.
Oh.
And we thought, maybe it's just postpartum, even though it was 3 years later.
Yeah.
And like I said, that was all after I was diagnosed. But I had these signs, and I obviously didn't think that it had anything to do with the pain on my chest.
Yeah.
One of the signs that we also didn't look at was a rash on the left side. So it was more like acne on just the left side. So my back, my arm, my upper arm, mostly on my shoulder. And it would turn into these dark marks. So I'd always been acne prone all my life. So that was also something that I was just like, it's definitely not connected
it's one of those,
to the pain. So yes, so the pain, the tumor, and then fatigue and nightly sweats. That was big ones.
So now you're in the doctor's room and they just hit you with this. And when I tell you, I don't know how many times I say this, guys, cancer is my biggest fear. Like every time I hear the word cancer, I'm just there like, even when I go to like a doctor's appointment, I'm just there like, it's not like I'm okay with any diagnosis, but please do not give me cancer. So now you're there. What's the first thing that you said to the doctor?
Are you sure? Are you sure that's my results?
Yeah.
And yeah, he's like, there's no way we could make this mistake. And that is why I wanted you to come in immediately. I'd be lying if I said I knew exactly what I said verbatim, but I know that my husband and I just broke down. We just broke down for a good moment. And I remember my husband asking the doctor if I'm going to lose my hair.
Shame.
So funny thing is, I was a fitness coach and I was a hair influencer and a hairdresser, a mobile hairdresser before I was diagnosed. So my identity was health, fitness, and my crown. I was the owner of a hair salon called Fix, a Crown Mobile Salon. And yeah, that was one of the questions I remember my husband asking. And then also another thing that I asked the doctor was, am I going to go for chemo?
Yeah.
He said, because it's breast cancer, it's likely. But there's a lot more tests that we have to do. And then also dropping the pin that I was diagnosed on the 16th. I had to go back into surgery on the 17th because they needed to insert the chemo port and to make sure that they had removed all the cancer in my breast
In your
cavity.
breast. Oh, and it just got worse and worse. But more than anything, and I think your faith kept you going.
Mm.
Your faith kept you going, like from day one.
Definitely.
You knew. It's like
My lashes, babes. I have a lot of mascara on.
I'm also trying to be professional. But yeah, it's your faith. It's your faith that kept you going. Okay, now you've started chemo. You've got your husband behind you. You've got your family behind you. And you know that you've got this.
Mm.
And now take us through the chemo, because I've heard that cancer is like the worst, but chemo can either kill you or take you.
Yeah, this was a bumpy one. And I think what we need to understand, and I started the Sharney Blackway Foundation, which is finally registered and everything, because I want to educate people. And at the same time, I want people to advocate for themselves.
Mm.
So when it comes to chemotherapy, there are so many forms of cancer, firstly. The type of cancer that I had was the most aggressive form of breast cancer, which is triple negative. And I need to say this because when we have viewers and me as Sharney Blackway Foundation, I want to educate people, and we also don't want people to be afraid. You just said no cancer, like that's the last thing. Like I said this 2 years prior to being diagnosed, and I'll tell you later why I did. But when I was on my way to chemo, my body had been through so much.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm going to say before this. Not everyone starts at the point that I was.
Mm-hmm.
So with my first chemo, my mother-in-law had moved into our house to help with my baby, which was 3 at the time. And I said to my mother-in-law after the first chemo, I need to do 16 of this. I have to do 16 chemotherapy treatments. And I feel like I'm going to die with the first one. I remember telling my mother-in-law for the first 11 days, I couldn't eat. So I would go every third week for the first one, which is called the Red Devil, the most aggressive form of chemotherapy.
Yeah.
And I told my mother-in-law, like, I'm not going back. It's very bad. Like, I could not handle how nauseous I was. I could not handle how much pain I was in. It was extremely difficult for me because, again, I'm still recovering from 2 surgeries that I had less than 7 days apart.
Yeah.
And I've been in tremendous pain. So my nervous system is through the roof. And I was just hit with the diagnosis a few weeks ago. So I'm still recovering from that emotionally. So it was extremely difficult. And to your point, had it not been for my faith, had it not been for me, not knowing if I will wake up the next morning, before I close my eyes every day, I will tell God, like, please just wake me up tomorrow morning. Because I couldn't eat. I had throbbing headaches. My body was aching. I always tell people it's like your bones are in pain.
Yeah.
That is what chemo was for me. And again, I've met amazing survivors who had extremely different experiences because when they were diagnosed, they did not have any surgeries prior to that. Their body was in good shape at the time. So I think different strokes for different folks, but that was my experience.
Yeah.
I wish I could say it was the opposite, but I need to be honest about what is also the reality. But I always tell people chemotherapy or any form of cancer treatments is like pregnancy. And when you go into labor, everyone's
you don't know
different.
what to expect.
Also, your body Depends on where your body is at, how young you are. And I think that is also, it plays a huge role in your recovery.
Yeah. So now the breast cancer is gone. It's clear. You're back to your normal life. What happened?
I love the term normal. You know, when I was going through the treatment, I had 16 rounds of chemotherapy, 25 rounds of chest radiation, and then I had both my breasts removed in 2023. So by the end, my last treatment was radiation, which was on the 4th of December. And the first thing many oncologists tell patients is go out now and enjoy your life. You are in remission. That was December of 2023. I had some sense of crazy fate. That's what we call it. Like I just survived this amazing thing. My body it went through the ringer. You know, I'm tired. I cannot tell you how many times I have told people like I cannot come out and celebrate the fact that I'm done with my treatments because I'm too tired. So I was at home a lot, which is very different to where I'd been. At this time, I was off work and I was now ready to recover. But there was no normalcy.
Yes.
So what the treatment does to your body is chemo strips you of both your good and your bad cells. So you cannot decipher between that. So your body has now gone through all of these treatments with all of these drugs being pumped into you, the radiation, the surgeries. Your body has to recover. So I was, even after treatment, a lot of people don't know this about people that fought cancer. You don't just bounce back out of bed and go back to normal. You have to deal now with the trauma that your body has been through for all these months. For me, it was from January to December. And it was definitely not on my bingo cards, but I was very much spending a lot of my time in bed. And also my remission was very short-lived. I think we'll go into my second diagnosis after that.
How long did it take though?
5 weeks after doctors had told me I was cleared.
You're kidding me.
That's why I said normal for everyone is different.
How?
When people say normal, I'm like, huh? Yeah. So a lot of people go home, they go on holiday. I had side effects immediately, almost after, and again, not knowing what was waiting for me 5 weeks later.
Issue. What was waiting for you?
So by January, the end of January, was basically a month after my my last treatment, which was radiation. And I had been to my doctor and I'd still told him like, no, there's something wrong. Like, I feel like this is not normal, like, you know. And he said to me, no, you know what, with treatments, these are the long-term side effects that you can suffer from. And again, your body has been through a lot, so give it time.
Yeah.
I said, okay, no problem. He's like, no, you're in remission, go ahead. And by March, the beginning of March, I was able to go back to work. So I was at home for about 3 weeks in Feb, and then just over that week, I was able to go back to work. And I remember just telling my boss, like, I'm not fine. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the emotional part. I don't know if it's the PTSD. I don't know, but I'm not well. And it started with a slight headache. And again, this was obviously with the chemo. A huge part of it comes with brain fog and memory loss and pain. So it was also just like, your body's going through a lot. You need to give it time. And I remember this. So my husband and I at the time was working together. And he was not at work. So I drove myself to work. And again, both of us were not comfortable with it, but you know what? We just had to do it. And he was off sick. And I remember telling him, like, I'm coming home and I'm cooking. Like, I'm not going to allow you to cook while you're not well, because yes, I understand you've done a lot while I was sick, but I also need to now look after you while you were sick. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm getting home and I'm driving home and I'm like, I'm going to be fine. I can tell you, Mimo, I walked into that door. I locked the door.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like my body shut down. I could not move my limbs. I laid on the couch and I could not get back up from that couch.
Oh.
And I said to my husband, something's not right. Maybe I just, I took it too far. Like driving was not a good choice.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have just asked for alternative transport from maybe someone working and stays in our same area. And my husband said, yeah, nothing is wrong. I went to my GP the next day because that felt like an out-of-body experience where you just numb, like you don't know what to do. And here we are at the doctor's office and she says, it's stress. Now, I will be honest, that was a huge part of my journey throughout this because I had a career before this. I was a business owner. So financially and every aspect of my life was stressful because I'd lost so much. Medical bills were piling up. I think you know how that goes.
Of course, yeah.
And even though I had medical aid, there were so many things that we had to cover out of pocket. So stress was obviously a huge factor in my journey. So I accepted that and she said, if for 2 weeks, after 2 weeks, this is a normal GP, you are not feeling well, God bless her soul, please come back.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't know that she had put me on antidepressants. And that made me more tired. And again, my faith, my positive mindset could not deal with the slowness of that. And I obviously just, again, I'm tired because I'm taking this medicine.
Yeah.
2 weeks had passed, no difference. Nothing different. I'm still feeling tired. At this point, I have a throbbing headache. So I'm not talking, with headaches where you're like the light sensitive, no.
Yeah.
Where you like sound sensitive, no. It's more like the back of my head.
Like pounding.
Like my brain is hitting towards my skull.
Yes.
It felt like
your midbrain.
I would get up and I could, when you have a toe that is, I don't know how to explain it, but it just felt like there was a hard surface.
Yeah.
With any sudden movement, if I would move too quickly, if I would move too slowly, I just could not keep my eyes open because the minute I try to stand up, it's a problem. The minute I walk, it's like something is hitting against my skull.
Yeah.
And I went to work after the 2 weeks and I called my oncologist. And with oncology, it's very difficult. Sometimes they are very busy, but by the grace of God, I had amazing doctors that I could call on WhatsApp and they responded almost immediately. And again, ladies and gentlemen, when you share your story either on social media or you are open and you advocate for yourself with your doctors, they will do the same. If doctors know what's going on with you, it's so much easier for them to then decipher, okay, this one listens to her body. And without any hesitation, she said, go to get a CT scan immediately. I'm phoning them. I'm sending them a referral. I'm sending you a referral via WhatsApp. And when you get there, just show it to them. And I will make an appointment. I think she made an appointment or I made an appointment. And I drove to Sunwood Park with my husband. And we basically had a CT scan done. The lady that had done the CT, this was not the first time I did a CT scan. So throughout my journey, I have done many tests and you can see the difference on the nurses' faces or the people's faces that does it. And I think the lady also recognized, she said she recognizes me from social media. And the minute she saw me after my scan, because it was so urgent because of oncology, I said to my husband, something's not right. You read her face again. I'm like, why are you looking at me like that? She's like, no, there's nothing wrong. And I felt so sorry for her. Shame, she was a darling. But the day after that, I was scheduled for an emergency MRI on the brain. That's a story in itself. I don't know if you've been for an MRI on your brain, but I thought I was being buried alive, Choma. I was in for the MRI. I don't think I had processed all the trauma that I'd been through for that years. And I literally screamed. It's like a box where they put your head in. Yeah. And that was another scary part. But in the midst of all of that, unfortunately, my oncologist was hospitalized. So even though I had this throbbing pain, side effects, that was crazy, my oncologist called me from a hospital bed and she said, I'm not well. I cannot see you. But please, Sharney, we got the results. It doesn't look good. Do not go anywhere. Do not do anything. You are very prone to a seizure and it can be fatal very quickly. But you're going to have to wait. That was the Wednesday that she called me. I could only see her the Tuesday because remember, it's a long weekend.
Yeah.
So even though she will be discharged the Thursday or the Friday, I can't remember. I still need to wait because it's going to be Easter Monday.
Yeah.
So yeah, that Easter was a bitter pill to swallow. I would say that was one of the most difficult parts of the journey, just the waiting game, not knowing if I will wake up and have a seizure, not knowing if something bad could happen while I'm sleeping, because what she had explained was there's swelling on my brain due to a tumor. And that tumor can strike a nerve or it can do something that can cause a seizure or it could be fatal, bleeding or anything like that. So I had to be very still that weekend. And yeah, when I saw her the Tuesday, she said the cancer had spread to my brain.
It's like you were just waiting for like another punch. You just, they're like, give me another punch. What have you got for me? Hit me. No, maybe the other side. But one thing I will tell you is that you have mastered knowing your body. Like, I don't think anyone understands the importance of knowing your body and listening to your body. Because once you know, this is not how I'm not supposed to be feeling, then you can take like a first step.
I think what's frustrating and still is, and that is why I started the Sharney Blackway Foundation again. I am pro advocacy. I am pro early detection can save your life.
Mm.
And it is so difficult with the stigma around cancer, the diagnosis, the treatments, the survivorship of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been through all three of that stages. And it's very difficult to continuously go to specialists, request these tests and trials and ask for doctors to say, listen, there's something there. If doctors continuously tell you there's nothing there. I was told that there's nothing 5 times. And I could have said, I am just going to live with the fact that doctor says it's fine. But I had to listen to my body. And even throughout my treatments, when I had these throbbing headaches, I spoke to my oncologist. I had to advocate. As difficult and as uncomfortable as it is, you need to not only listen to your body, you need to be vocal about it with the right people. Silence the noise. We live in a world where people will say, all of us are tired. The amount of times I've heard, it might be nothing. Like, don't stress yourself about it. Stop going to the doctors. Someone said to me, it's like now you are looking for a problem while these professionals are telling you that there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
One thing my mother shamed, God bless her soul, she says to me, you are questioning an oncologist about side effects that you are receiving. Because when they said that the tumor had spread to my brain, I said to the doctor, so what are we going to do now?
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor said to me, we are going to have very aggressive brain radiation. That's my first and only option that's going to be beneficial. The second one will be another form of brain radiation. It's not as effective as that one, but cheaper, but,
Yeah. So they didn't have to open you up.
Wait. Then the third option is brain surgery. And that is a risky one because we don't know if we will find everything. And if we do cut, it's very risky and something could happen. And then your final option is if you don't choose these 3, it's palliative care. Mind you, I'm 29. And yeah, it's either you go through this aggressive treatments, again, not their fault. This is just what my body was doing. And I went into that praying. I said to the doctor, I'm not going to decide immediately.
Yeah.
Mind you, remember what I told you about those 3 days of having to wait for the doctor to be
Yes.
out of hospital?
Yeah.
My mother's like, why are you delaying this process? I'm like, I need to go home and pray about this.
Yeah.
I need to speak to my husband about this. I need to seek guidance from God.
Mm.
This is not my battle.
Mm.
And I said to her, I will tell you what I will do based on what God tells me.
Yeah.
And I chose brain surgery.
She had 3 options. Brain surgery being the worst and the riskiest.
Mm.
But because you trusted God, you went for the third one.
That's what I heard.
Because you were guided.
Guidance of the Holy Spirit. That's what I heard. So on the 16th of April, after my family had multiple meetings, my mother calling in, some of my friends, they're like, please come and talk her out of this. My mom's cousin works at a hospital where I was treated, and she was just like, this is not something you have to do. Maybe choose this option that the doctor is giving you. And I'm like, no. I heard brain surgery and we're going with brain surgery.
Yeah.
And, I didn't know at that point what the risks were. But I soon found out that according to doctors, when you have brain surgery at the spot that I have, very likely that you will be on a ventilator. You will be in ICU for roughly 7 days, 5 to 7 days. And you might be in the hospital for quite a few weeks, if not a month. I was out of there in 7 days.
What do you mean?
So let's start from my brain surgery. I woke up that morning, I put on a kid suit, and I said to my mother, I am going to tell this doctor to spare me my life, to not cut a nerve that is not supposed to be cut. And I was hospitalized a few days before my surgery, and I decided to go home just for that weekend to spend time with my daughter because of the risk. We didn't know how my recovery would be, but I declared. I had an amazing, amazing colleague that I met for the first time. Her name is Blessing. And she came and she said, okay, this is according to what doctors are saying, but you need to declare what God has to do for you.
I like it.
And I went into that process and I said, God, one thing that you cannot take away from me is my voice. One thing you cannot take away from me is my ability to use my brain so I can help other people. And I'm declaring that I will come out of that surgery with none of what these doctors are saying. And I came out singing of the goodness of God when I was coming out of theater. So I just had surgery on the 16th of April, 7-hour surgery on my brain. And I had these 2 nurses. I was not on a ventilator. I had no oxygen mask. I had a small, those small ones that they put in your
Yeah.
nose, the very, very small ones that you will have in
From
ICU.
theater, yes.
And I pulled it out and I started speaking. And both the nurses were so shocked. Mind you, like I said, I just had 7-hour brain surgery. They said that you will be black and blue under your eyes after surgery. They said that my head will be swollen after surgery. I do have a big head, so maybe I didn't notice. But I was normal.
Yeah.
I saw my family immediately after. So they wheel you out of theater. I don't know if you had surgery before, but they wheeled me out of theater. And I was not unconscious. And the first thing that came to my mind was The Goodness of God by CeCe Winans. There's actually a video on my TikTok where that is the actual video of me being wheeled out of theater after having a 7-hour brain surgery. And the Holy Spirit just took over.
Today when you go home, because now you just mentioned BB Winans, you must now go listen to Thank You for Being You. Because God has always been the God that you always wanted him to be. Like he showed up. He was like, also one thing about having like a one-on-one conversation with God to tell him, okay, you have presented a problem. Here I am, and I come to you this is where you're going to step in and
Amen.
guide me and help me and take this thing away. Because you are more powerful.
Yeah.
And he did exactly that. And that's why you're still here. And you're
Definitely.
doing amazing
God is good. God is good.
all the time. Like you are a miracle. I'm just here sitting like, Haibo girl. Haibo.
Yeah, they said you're going to rehab a few days, or you'll have to go to a rehab center maybe to start walking, or maybe there'll be issues with your writing. And I'm like, that is not my portion.
Yeah.
I've been to school. I've done that. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to learn how to write again. I'm not going to learn to have better speech. And I was walking with physio the next day. Well, as another video I have on my social media. And I do document my journey because I want people to understand, yes, being diagnosed with cancer is scary. We won't take that away. But it is possible for you to have a better chance at a better quality of life.
Yeah.
There is no cure for cancer as we sit here. So in the entire world, no one has cured cancer based on my knowledge again. But there are treatments to help you fight it. This is unfortunately the reality of cancer. So when you have this, you obviously have to constantly get checked. So the minute, God forbid, something comes back, you will then have the opportunity to treat it again. So that is just the reality of so many people. But also, when you are in a position where you find it early, you will have a better chance of surviving it.
Sure. We can go on and on. Like, your story is so amazing. And I feel like the deeper we get into it, the more you actually teach us about this deadly condition. And guys, I wasn't wearing pink, by the way, this morning. I was wearing something else. And then I remembered, my episode is about cancer, And I thought pink. And then only when I got here, I realized that no, they're actually different colors to cancer.
Definitely.
And now I know 2 different cancers.
Yeah. Pink is for me. I am the pink.
With the breast.
Breast cancer is pink. And then there are many, many other forms of cancer. There are too many cancers for me to even mention. Some that I might not even know about. And there are different colors for each one of them representing that. And every month, we celebrate. So October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I think brain cancer is in April. Brain surgery or brain tumor month of brain cancer. And then every single month, cervical cancer has its own month and all of that. So we just celebrate that. Not something that I started, but something that a lot of people celebrate. I think also very good to know the different colors to also help you navigate when you are supporting others. So yeah.
Guys, I would keep Sharney here forever.
We can do a part 2. Tell her, guys. Tell her we can do a part 2.
But before I let her go, I just want you to share a message to someone who's just been diagnosed with cancer.
Meet yourself where you are at. Everyone's journey is different. Everyone has a different experience when it comes to support. Everyone has a different experience when it comes to resources. Everyone has a different view on what cancer is. For me, because I was from a family who had struggled with cancer, passing away was the only thing that I knew about cancer. And unfortunately, that is how I went into my journey initially when I was diagnosed. Cancer is not a death sentence. Please do not die before you die. Because that positive mindset allows you to have an 80% chance of making it through. 20% is just the treatments, you going for your doctor's appointments. But 80% of it is mindset. Surround yourself with positive people. Allow yourself to tap into that higher power. For me, that is Jesus Christ. And I stand here because I have walked this journey. I have the experience of what it feels like to go through cancer, but I am not God. So focus more on who you listen to in that higher power than the people around you, because it is very seldom that you are part of a family where multiple people has the exact same cancer, that their body reacts the exact same way. So your journey is yours uniquely. So treat it as such. Be careful about the things that you feed your mind with. Be careful about your surroundings. Protect your peace during that time. And I know it's going to be difficult to think about how your life is going to change, but I promise you, you will have an appreciation for life more than you ever had. I now feel blessed that I've had the opportunity to have a kiss with death, not once, but twice, because I've realized how fragile and beautiful life is, and I don't take anything for granted anymore. I'm grateful when I open my eyes in the morning, and you will be too once you get through it. I know you guys can do it.
Sure. Guys, I don't even want to say anything after that. So please don't die before you die. That's all I'm going to say. So Sharney, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. Until next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.